Hey everybody, Jordan Orell here, making my daily video on circumcision. And today, I just got off the phone with my mom, who is a family practice doctor in Minnesota. And I had a difficult conversation with her that I'd like to share with you about because it's something I've been worried about and working up to for a long time, and I'm really glad that I got to talk to her about it. And I think it could be helpful for some people. So I would admonish you, please keep an open mind, um, because it's conversations like these and it's having this understanding of how to talk to people, how to create real social change, how to really change people's minds, how change is going to happen, because it's not easy. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of finesse, um, a lot of being very careful and thinking things through, using our logical minds, which is really difficult when you're traumatized and when you're in a lot of pain around something. And I'll start out by saying this is so. When I first talked to my mom about this a long time ago, she wasn't very receptive, since she's a doctor, and she said, we circumcised you because, mostly just because of your dad was circumcised, and so we thought you should be. Later I learned from my dad that that wasn't really the full reason. But anyways, I later learned that my mom performed circumcisions. I was riding in the car with her on the way to the airport back to Colorado. She got a call asking her to do a circumcision, and she said, and apparently she had forgotten that I was a little bit upset about it, and I hadn't talked to her in a while, a year or two, about it, because she'd been so dismissive. And she joked that, they wanted her to do it because she was very experienced. And, was that their way of saying that she's just old? Because she'd done a lot of circumcisions and because she'd been a doctor for a long time. And I'd stopped talking to her at that point, and she was really confused the whole car ride. She was trying to, in her good Minnesotan way, trying to get me to talk to her, and I was just stonewalling her and giving her one-word answers, and was unbelievably upset. I hadn't known she performed circumcisions. I didn't think she did. And finally, at the end of the car ride, I said, just told her I was really upset, and I really didn't like the fact that I was circumcised, and had, at this point been researching it every night for like an hour every night, probably for a couple of years. So I knew a lot about it, and I still wasn't able to talk about it by any means, or have a conversation or voice my feelings. But I was really, really, really upset. And it kind of drove a wedge in our relationship for a while, until I had a couple more conversations with her and started to explain, why and what was wrong with it. And eventually, it's been now a couple of more years since that, she saw my podcast, and in which the first one we talked about conscientious objection. And yeah, she said she liked the podcast a lot. She thought it was good, and that she wants to try to and will try to talk to more parents about it in the future, about why it's not necessary to circumcise. And I don't think she's seen much more material on it, I'm going to show her Eric Klopper's talk when that comes out, as well as American Circumcision. But she's already aware that it's bad and that I've been very traumatized by it and of the other work I'm doing. And so she has an idea, but she still performs them occasionally. And so I asked her about becoming a conscientious objector, something which I'd really wanted her to do for a long time. And it was really hard for me to ask that because for a long time I wanted to force her to becoming a conscious objector by saying otherwise I wouldn't have a relationship with her anymore. And I don't know if that would have worked or if that would have just ended our relationship. And this is really, really important to point out because I know a lot of people who I've heard have ended relationships with their parents or with other significant people in their lives because the people won't listen to them about circumcision. And I think that would have been a great loss and wouldn't have really done anybody that much good. And which is why I think it's really important to think about how to address this problem critically and understand how to do it. Because when I talked to her, came very gently and said, I just want to talk to you about if you still do them and if you've thought about conscious objection. She said she had thought about it and she would like to. It would be kind of difficult for just for reasons that that it would basically just throw it on someone else and force someone else to then come in and do it, and ultimately the vast majority of the time it wouldn't actually stop anybody because she'll still talk to them about it and tell them why it's not good and why not to do it. But saying she's just going to have someone else do it doesn't really stop the problem. And so I understood that and talked to her a little bit more about it and explained why I'd really like her to, but I'd just like her to think about it more. And she said she would think about it more, and she would also try to talk to some of the other doctors at her hospital or at her clinic. And that's most of the conversation. And I want to stress why this I would consider a really, really big success. Because again, I could have come at it more aggressively. I could have come at it in a way that distanced me from her or pushed her away and shut her down to the topic, or even shut her down to her relationship with me. And that wouldn't have helped anybody. It's slow steps, and it's been slow steps over the years. But especially now that I've come, with constructive material, I've come and shown her the podcast I created, and as well as being really nice about it and understanding and trying to listen to her and listen to her thoughts on it and asking her questions and just being really gentle and not aggressive with it. It's got her to listen to me and got her to talk to other doctors and to really consider becoming a conscious objector, to talk to parents, and ultimately there's just more room for possibilities. I mean, maybe we could do a screening of American Circumcision for the doctors at Broadway Medical Center. It's a possibility, I think I'd have an easy in since my mom works there and she's worked there and been a part owner for her whole life. And that wouldn't be possible if I didn't come at this from a very, very gentle perspective. But I think, doctors might be open to seeing a documentary about it or to listening to it from someone who's very reasonable. My mom is a very reasonable, very kind, warm person, and I try to be as well. And if you can be that way with people on this issue and come at it very with a lot of heart and with a very sharp intellect as well, and understanding what things will turn people off, what things will get people to think more, really think critically about it, really study it, really slow down and just take time to think it through. That's the best thing you can do when figuring out how to talk to anybody about it. And then perhaps most of all, more than anything else, is just to be patient, because I, I didn't by any means win the battle all the way this time, and I don't think I will, by next time either, or the time after that. But by the end of this year, by the end of next year, I think I could start to gain some leverage, and some big leverage with not just my mom, but maybe, trying to convince other physicians as well. And it opens me up to think, maybe there are other doctors who I could talk to, because I know, from talking to my mom and so many others, doctors are generally very caring people. They don't get into working with sick people and trying to heal sick people because they're just bad people. They're generally pretty good people. And you have to talk to that part of them, though, I mean, they also want money, as do I, as does everybody. But don't treat them as if that's all that they care about, because it's not true, and it's not all of them. In fact, it's not the most core part of them. The core part of them is really that they care about people, and they don't want to be wrong. Again, nobody wants to be wrong. They don't want to be argued with. They want to believe that they're right. They want to believe that they're good people. And what you have to do really is, challenge them in a way, come at them as a really good person, and show them your point of view. Show them, tell them how upset you are, how traumatized you are, that it's something you've studied for a long time, and maybe they aren't aware of some of the anatomy of the foreskin. They aren't aware of the functions of the foreskin. Maybe they aren't aware of the psychological harm that it causes men as adults who are circumcised, and that this is actually a growing problem, and that is very under-recognized. And, not all doctors will listen, but some will, and we need to talk to those and just get more and more people on our side. And there are people who will listen, and a lot of them might not even listen the first time, but we have to keep on trying and keep on doing our best to be gentle, intelligent about it, and start those conversations that could really change things. It might take some time. It will take some time, but the time is now, and it's going to happen. If you'd like to talk with me more about this, I'd love to talk with anybody, and get your viewpoints, understanding. If you have any feedback for me, I'd love to hear it. And yeah, thank you guys for watching so much. I really think that having these conversations and working together to understand what the best way to change people's minds on this topic is one of the best things we can do to ultimately come to a solution. Because if we don't understand how to do this, then we just keep on throwing our rage back and forth, and doctors are like, these people are insane, they're crazy, there's something wrong with them. But if we can show them there's not something wrong with us at all, except that we've been hurt very, very badly, and show them why that is, explain to them, because they really don't know. I think that's one of the other main points I just want to make today, is doctors really, really, for the most part, don't know. The vast majority of them. My mom's a doctor. I know she really had no idea. It took a lot of explaining and showing her stuff, and she's finally starting to get it. And she's brilliant. She's incredibly smart, even for a doctor. Doctors are generally smart people, but this isn't in the medical textbooks. They're not taught this. They're taught that the foreskin has no functions, that's completely useless, and that it just causes disease. And that's about it. That's as far as it goes, and then they never learn anything about it ever again. And they don't have foreskins. They have no way of knowing. and they just really need someone to explain it and to to be gentle with them, and to come at them from human perspective. They're taught to listen, they're taught to be empathic and to listen and to care. So we just need to bring that out of them and show them how hurt we are and that we do know what we're talking about, and explain to them the functions, the anatomy of the foreskin, what the ridged band is, Meissner's corpuscles, the functions of the foreskin. They just don't know these things. And, it takes some courage, but I think we can be the ones to teach them. And soon it'll start to shift faster and faster, but we have to take those first steps. So please contact me if you want more. Jordan at foragen.org. Otherwise, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching.